You want to go me first? Dave Karlekar, and I welcome you all. It's an introductory training session at Stratyges Consulting. The session for the topic today is on big data. As I mentioned, it's an introductory session wherein over the next 1 hour, you will get enough information on holistic level on this topic. Considering it's a very vast topic, we will not be able to cover each and every open source course tool, but we will cover enough that should get you a confidence that this might be a career for many of you to start on. Big data, well, that's the future, as the name suggests. So it's one of the most technologically popular training track, especially technical people who aspire to make big money and who wants to be on a technology side. This is one of the new track which we started from this year, considering the need for this topic. It is very easy to learn and understand. It's an open source, basically products which you'll be using, plug and playing, and hence is also very popular. The other reason being, this easily gets you, most of you who knows the big data salaries are anywhere between 150,000 to 250,000. Now, let me give a backdrop for Stratyges Consulting. Stratyges Consulting, we are a very boutique IT consulting, training, application development, outsourcing firm, having our operations in USA, Canada, and in India. Some of our focused technology areas in no particular order are as follows. We have focuses on these technologies. That's where we do project work as well as provide training. Cloud DevOps, big data, Python data science, Java full stack, min stack microservices, Java MuleSoft, .NET full stack, robotics process automation, Selenium QA automation, some of the business intelligence reporting tools like Tableau and others, Salesforce administration and development. Then we have two similar track. One is for BA QA Scrum, and the other one is a PMBA Scrum, very popular tracks. And last but not the least is on Oracle NetSuite ERP. So this is our focused area. This is where we have our own projects, as well as we also impart training. As a product partner for various or some of these product companies, majority of our employees also get an opportunity to teeth into our various projects as well as get certified, which also adds a feather in the cap to their career. Now, from the client perspective also, we work with about 40 or 43 universities in terms of their website designing, development, hosting their site. We also have outsourced projects for their content. So the content design as well as development, technical writing work we do. And on the other side, on the staffing, consulting, talent acquisition side, we primarily work with most of the those so-called big Indian outsourcing technology companies, primarily towards supplementing them with the IT professionals, because we are a US company. We are a small minority business enterprise. Majority of them are foreign companies. So as the client has a need for encouraging the diverse and a minority business, it's a simply win-win for us as well as to them, wherein they like to align with us as there is a mandated spend to be given to the minority business. We also work with various small to mid-size clientele all across the nation. This could be anywhere from their basic work in terms of website design, development, even digital marketing, or it could be complex work where we provide them database support solution, even the Salesforce CRM support and solution. These projects primarily, many of these projects, if not all, they works as an opportunity for most of the students as they get to teach in, as these are all real-time hands-on projects. Well, about the principles of the founders at Stratyges, which is myself and Ravi Narayan, who was talking and introduced many of you. So both of us are here for well over 2 decades now, primarily as a serial entrepreneur, built, sold few companies. And I guess after living for a good number of times, you realize that you cannot eat money, and we all eat very similar food. And looking at the destruction happening across the world in light of COVID-19 and heading for a global recession, whatever happens to the USA, the whole world suffers. And in light of about 50 million job losses, and as per the reports, that number will only balloon. There's a lot of stress in people's life. We are in various groups, Telegram and WhatsApp. You will see at least anywhere from 5% to 30% people are unemployed and or have given notices anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months. And these are very challenging times. These are primarily the people who are living and working in the USA anywhere from 5, 10, 15, 20, even 30 years. And suddenly they lost a job. Now to do what? It's an emotional drain, mentally it hits you, and as well as it's a financial stress. So, it's our 2 cents towards Make America Great Again. And by helping the people and the corporate America, by providing training as well as giving the projects, it's our efforts towards reducing the employment, whatever we can do. So far, for the past month, we have over 723 professional registered. This data is as of Wednesday. So I guess I'm not taking people who have registered over the last 2-3 days. So it's very overwhelming, and that signifies how bad economy is and how desperate people are looking for a job. Ravi and we have also pledged that over the next 6 months, between June to December, we are eyeing for placing at least 300 professionals. Now, by simply providing training, if you can find a job on your own or through your network, God bless you. Some of you will do that, and there will be some who will end up working on our in-house projects or maybe projects through our outsourcing partners. We have several technology tracks, which I mentioned you earlier. Primarily, these technology training tracks varies from at least 6 weeks, but I guess it goes anywhere from 6 weeks to 8 or 10 weeks, depending upon the course content, the pupils' response, and the course content. Most of these courses, they are 4 days in a week, and there are multiple tracks. So again, the nitty-gritties of that you will get while interacting with the HR, but just to give you a broader term, say Monday, Wednesday, Friday is one track, different time slots. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, it's a second track, different time slots. And then Sunday is primarily 2.5 hour revision. This simply helps to learn theoretical as well as the hands-on project work. Now, these are all free training tracks. There is no fees or there is no charge which you have to pay for learning. It's our art of giving and our investment in people. Why we are unique in a way? Because many of you, I guess, have seen various advertisements. You open a newspaper or you go to sulekha.com, or you get to see many ads or many posts on Facebook or through your WhatsApp Telegram groups, wherein people are there to make quick bucks in terms of charging you 500,000, couple of $1,000, giving you 4 weeks, 6 weeks lip service training. Some of the people who have come to us saying, Dave, we knew more than the instructor, but our money was stuck after paying $1,000, $500. So it was a waste of time and all. I guess here they at least have a solace that their money is not going waste. Most of the trainers we have at least 8 years now. We have some veterans like Ravindra, who will be talking. He has over 25 years. And I have the pleasure of knowing him for the past 2 decades as a dear friend. So, it's not basically a lip service namesake training compliance. We are primarily focused on really shaping the career, making a difference. Many of us also have a social life, and those who knows us knows what I'm talking about. It's an difficult times, and we sincerely want to make a difference in people's life. People expect whether it's a Trump or a Modi will come and do the household laundry for you. It ain't gonna happen. It's up to us to rise up to the occasion and do whatever it takes to feed our family. If everyone to take care of our household, the entire nation gets transformed, whether it's in India or Canada or USA. And it's our belief towards that strengthening the economy. It's our 2 cents towards preparing you mentally as well as technologically. And by giving you a theoretical as well as real-time project experience, we are really giving that positivity within you that helps you to basically not only understand the technology conceptually, but to understand from a practical project work. It also enables you to kind of, it's a real-time project. So we'll also gear you and guide you through what the kind of typical questions are asked, whenever you are doing any kind of a vendor interviewing, what typical questions the vendor agencies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, call will ask you, and how would you relate that, because you are doing those in-house projects real time. So, been there, done that type scenarios, as well as the end client. Many people who have been employed for 10, 20 years and lost a job don't have the experience towards facing the interview, whether it's a phone or in person. A majority of them are phone though, or online WebEx interviews. So we help them preparing for those interviews also, because again, we have been doing this for at least 2 decades, if not more. So that helps them to get a job. Now, there will be some strata of people, they are doing a technology migration, right? Meaning they were on a dated legacy technology, and now they are learning some big data just for the sake of use case. And then they secure a project because they have done some in-house projects, but maybe their project is a little complex because the bill rate is good, and those people want to stay on the project so that they make money. And in that case, because we have a large team, about 180 people in India and 300 people here, within ourselves, it's a fraternity, whether Google groups or Telegram groups or WhatsApp groups. So at any given point of time, you are in the mix of at least few dozen people, depending upon which track you are on. And these people will help you. There'll be people who are smarter than you. There are people who are along with you, and the smarter people will help you. And then once you become smarter, you'll help people who are average too. So it's kind of giving it back within the fraternity also. So as I said, along with theoretical sessions, you are working on various in-house projects. Though we want each one of you, most of you, to work in corporate America, because that's where the real money is. Many of our projects are basically pro bono. We do a lot of work for the religious institutions, and this is all pro bono work. We do not charge any money. Even these trainings is we are basically giving a free training. So you will teeth in, but if you want to see real money, I guess the Fortune 5,000 or the Indian outsourcing agencies are the way to go. It is, frankly speaking, our humble effort to provide you a strong platform wherein you can leap as high as you can. And by generating employment, which helps you and the corporate America reduce the unemployment, we both are first generation immigrant Indian Americans. So that's the least we could do to this great nation as well as to India. Today's session, I know it's kind of a little late and it's in between your dinner time and your sleep time, but I really appreciate we still have about 27 odd people, and some people will come during the session in and out. But these sessions are all recorded. So those who have registered with giving their real email ID, they will get a copy of that video recording. Those who have not given the real ID, but now they realize, oh my God, I would need this session, but now to do what? No problem. You can see this recording by logging into www.stratyges.com website, or you can simply send an email to training@stratyges.com email ID. That's on your slide also, you can see on the screen, and you can request for the recording of big data session. So having said that, let me introduce to my dear friend who will be the trainer for today. His name is Ravindra Pandey. As I mentioned he has over 2 decades of experience. I don't want to date him, because if I were to date him, I date myself. So, so I will just stick to the point saying he has 2 decades of experience. He has worked in the USA as well as in Middle Eastern countries and in India. Along with the professional, it's his art of giving too. So he does a lot of pro bono work, and I have a pleasure of knowing him for the past 2 decades, if not more. So without doing any further ado, let me introduce yourself to Ravindra Pandey, and Ravindra Pandey, you can take it from here. Thank you.
Hello, thanks a lot, Dave. Thanks a lot for such exhaustive introduction. I'll just, start overall by basically trying to talk about technology tracks we build to help the unemployment in US as well as various other countries. And I'll say I'm really, proud of joining Stratyges Consulting as a part of trainer, part of support, and part of, helping hand for interview as well. So we are trying to build some good personalities here. In just sharing technology or teaching technology is not the motto. And I really like the big picture you shared. Big picture in such troubled time, we are helping all these good people to come up to a level where they can start their own work, they can stand on their own, and they can really guide others as well. So I believe there is a bit of train the trainer kind of approach inbuilt in this as well. So we are trying to build a good personalities to help technology with other corporate people. That's how I'll put it in a word. Thanks a lot for that. And as clearly mentioned, this training you can't limit in weeks, frankly speaking. This depends on the need. This depends on the overall knowledge, overall I'll say capacity of gaining knowledge of a individual, rather than I'm saying I'll be complete this thing in 6 weeks. There could be 10 weeks. So these trainings, frankly speaking, can be customized up to a great extent, not just the big data, the other tracks as well. And we will try to serve people, we try to build the economy, we try to help the overall country to be a better workforce. That's what the whole idea, I believe. So with that, I'll just start introducing overall big data. That's the track of today, and we'll try to understand why big data, why you should choose big data, what all different points we will be including in this big data session. And again, how we can basically enrich ourselves in big data, or how we can ready to be moved to big data. That's I think can be a motto of this overall introductory session. So at least I'll be happy to give all individuals a couple of bulleted points to understand big data, why, what, and how, those kind of scenario at least to start with. That's the motto overall. Thanks a lot for joining me today. I'll start over. So as you said, this is the first slide It's a big data complete vast program of 6 weeks which built as far as our past experience and as far as the current market needs are analyzed by our salespeople. And that's how we are basically build this a vast training model in big data. There are quite a few other tracks as well, and if you go to strategy consulting site, you'll get to know all the tracks, all the contents in bulleted points, and try to understand the whole helping hand, understand the whole gaining the wisdom process as far as strategy consulting goes. So I'll start over. Why can't I go to next slide? How to go to next? Okay, so this is basically big data. Then I will try to understand the overall business analysis done through big data, how the data science also is getting coupled with big data, because that's a need of the overall today's R&D projects as well as big tech projects. Be it NASA, be it Yahoo, be it Google, they use big data internally. Big data started by Google, frankly speaking, and they've instituted almost around 15 odd technologies out of 36 all technology tracks in big data. Big data is a platform by itself rather than a particular technology. Okay, so we'll try to understand these things slowly, steadily. So what we are trying to achieve here, we are trying to build knowledge for big data as a developer, big data an architect, big data administrator, big data analyst, big data scientist, and overall solution architect, so that this architect can suggest big data if there is a need, if there is economy, the cost, ROIs and those things as well. So we are trying to build all these tracks with a single training, and we'll have this customization at the end of the training, be it 5th week and 6th week, so that you can choose the track within these 5, so that you can really prepare yourself to be a good analyst, good architect, good data scientist, and so on and so forth. So that's how the training is planned right now. And I'm really open for any suggestions. If you want to have a particular track added, a particular track to be emphasized, like developer is a basic, once you complete the training, you can be a developer as far as big data developer track goes. But yeah, for big data scientist, you need to put in some more, sweat, put in some more blood to that. Same thing with goes with architect or administrator, because the work of scientist is a bit different than administrator, and similarly for other tracks as well. Okay, I'll just move ahead. This is me, Ravindra Pandey. Around 27 years of total IT experience. I've worked around 16 different countries. I'm doing corporate training full time for last 16 years. I've done, bachelor's in comp technology, then MBA and blah, blah, blah stuff. So these are all, contact info to be shared. Yes, now let's start with why big data, the business angle of it. Why we should learn big data? Because big data, if you look at the current market, it's around 140 billion. And it's targeted at 230 billion by 2025. Now, why it's growing, right? So let's try to understand, because these are all marketing material. This is a market research company, and they will build this thing extrapolation of how big will be the market share as far as big data as a technology platform goes. So let me tell you a couple of things. The big data came into existence in 1990s, where scientists specifically believe that there is a need, there is a urgency to build a tool above and all the data sets or databases available at that time. Those were singular database, means you can have say around 200 odd DBs to be clubbed together in a given platform, and you have something like SQL to be connecting it to a front end or middleware technology platform, and you start pulling and pushing the data on as per the requirement. But as we grow, like we grow in volume, we grow in velocity, we go in overall variety of DBs, variety of data elements, we felt the need to go to a level where we should have a DB which supports all these things rather than just a single type of DB, structured table data. No, now in big data we can support the complete document format, we can support movies, we can support images, we can support all type of those tabular elements as well as various descriptive elements which are supported by big data. So it's structured as well as non-structured. So we are trying to learn a platform where we can have all these type of data elements shared and accessed, validated, verified, and be ready for the technological platform use, so that you can use it with Java, Python, you can use it for machine learning, you can use for building some good patterns, to be used for efficient planning, to be used for efficient customer analytics, and so on. So these are the platforms who are started evolving from 1990s, and now today we are really have a matured around 15 odd technology platforms within big data, which we will talk about in this session. So we are trying to understand a mammoth technology here, mammoth platform here, where we have a clubbed tool set through which we are going to learn how to service to the industry, or service to the whole IT gamut of technology for that matters. Like Google use big data, YouTube use big data for their internal as well as external, what they call microservice, data provisions. So if you search on a YouTube saying, okay, I need a strategist consultant training, so there'll be a big data query built inside, which will be, moved through Spark and hit the overall HDFS to pull the list for you with the icon image, which is stored in another database altogether. And these are all mostly distributed, database technologies. So if you look at something like MySQL, MS SQL, or Oracle for that matter, so these are single system based DBs. So you need to have a big database volumes attached to a server where you can have the DB, stored in a centrally partygram. In big data, you have everything stored on various different, servers, various different computers throughout the globe altogether. So we are trying to pull the data elements from these computers, from these servers at a given platform. And that's how we serve the technology platform for the whole IT solutions gamut. Okay, I believe I'm not confusing. If I'm confusing, you can, ask the questions. What I normally do, I'll go through around 10 minutes of presentation, and then I'll request you to, push the questions for the given, training, and then we can talk in detail, right? So just hold on your questions, write down somewhere or note it somewhere, and then I'll ask you to ask questions. Okay, pardon me, because when I'm talking, there's a flow, and if somebody just raise the hand, or somebody just start asking questions, then I a bit get disturbed. So that's how. So if you have any questions till this point, please feel free to ask right now. I'm listening.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Mita.
Hi, Mita.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, can a fresher start with big data?
Yes, it's really great questions, and I believe, as far as the overall volume and size of this mammoth, these questions will come to, I think, quite a few participants. And thanks for asking that. And I'll clarify the way we are planning this training. If you gone through those bulleted points, we are basically starting for the base, starting from basic DB concept. So what we'll do, we'll start with basic why database, why there's something called backend in every solution, why do we need it, why, how that backend is basically migrate to something like database, what is table, column, document, entities, blah, blah, blah stuff. So we are basically, we have built this training for freshers as well. So as a fresher, yes, you can join, but yeah, there is a bit of extra efforts you need to put in that, you have to be ready for that because of the overall volume and, mammoth size of the big data. Yes, please, anybody want to say anything?
And what all will be covered in big data training session?
Yes, I'll come to that slowly. Steady. Just hold on your breath for a few minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and I'll go through that. Thank you, Nita. No problem. Any other questions right now? Okay, I believe I'll move on. Okay, sure. Thanks.
Hi, Ravindra.
Yes, please go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, my question is like, can a non-IT person from a life science background will be flourished in this technology?
Yes, definitely. See, for non-IT, what I would really suggest is, there are quite a few tracks like data analyst, right? These are analysts. These are basically business people who trying to get result out of a data stored in a database. Okay, be it a big data, be it Oracle, be it MySQL, and whatever it may be. So there are analysts who work on DB elements at a given time to build a meaningful results, right? Let me give you a sample. Let's say Ravindra Pandey is purchasing on Amazon for last 9 odd years, right? So when I was in US, they started building this consumer behavior type of data queries at that time, and it was a really good BigQuery. Means BigQuery is a Google technology. They started building this BigQuery so that whenever Ravindra Pandey signs in, the Amazon portal knows the last purchases, the overall migration of purchase of Ravindra Pandey, so that they can push the person whatever he needs in future, whatever he needs in near future. Like, if you grab a laptop, then you might need antivirus in few days. You might need MS Office in few days. If you have purchased any open system laptop, you might need LibreOffice because it's free. But yeah, see, there are various elements which can be attached to a given client and make him more satisfied, more valued, more important for a given type of marketplace. That's how this thing works. So this is a typical business idea, came from a business person, implemented in technology. So this is what the business analyst does. This is what the data scientist does, like to build the technology more for the business, more for the users. And these are not a technical people. These are like 20% technology and 80% business. So this is how you implement it. So there are tracks, there are various methods where we have non-technical people also join us. They might be technical if they feel really good need to understand the technology. They grow in those technologies as well. Means there are quite a few, even commerce graduate working in data scientists, working on machine learnings and so on and so forth. So now, if you don't want to limit yourself technical or non-technical, that's what I would suggest. But having said that, still there is a learning involved, and you need to really understand how I can give the solution, or how I can support the business. That's how you're going to gain money, right? So don't limit yourself. That's what I'll say. Does that answer your question?
Yes. I just want to know, like, is there any prerequisites for this course?
Prerequisites basically just you should have that ability to gain knowledge, ability to understand, and an ability to implement these things within your overall work. That's what the basic need is. So there is basically an intention to learn, an intention to be a good business user, business support type of persons. That's all it needs. If you have a basic knowledge, well and good, but we are starting from scratch, to be precise. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. Any other question? So I'll just move on. So this is another overall extrapolation done by global big data technology for the given big data. So this says by 2060 we are going to cross the 100 billion marks, and so on and so forth. Now let me give a support to this, because if you take a simple other technology platform like Internet of Things, we call it IATA, and here the DB generations, or the database which are getting generated by the IATA technological platform, is such humongous. Like, it can't be really stored in a simple DB. Be it a simple simple case of driverless car, right? The data generated while testing and driverless car is in petabytes for a day, or petabyte for couple of hours. That's how the data is generated, and we need a good database to support this whole thing, so that all these analysis or the data analysis done by the DB came to the actual auto drivers, which is a computer sitting in the car, and then it can take the results. Okay, we call it nodes and decision nodes and so on and so forth. I'll not go into technology right now, but this way we are trying to enable a computer or an artificial intelligence system to perform on its own, to learn from its mistakes, to learn and understand the various aspects of progress, right? So that's how it works. Be it something like robotics, which is really evolving right now. Be it something like driverless, flights, which are a kind of going to be a really, actual reality in very near future. Maybe in next, I think, 3 years time, we'll have a driver, pilotless, human pilotless flights, and that's how the big data is supporting overall, because the database, the intelligence system, built on these big data are going to support the technology to a level where we can have really great marvels of technologies going henceforth. So that's how the big data is growing, big data is maturing with the other technology platform as well. So I think you get the gist of it. Like, big data is going to be a necessity technology in the near future. It's already has, but if you haven't worked with big data, then yeah, it's the right time to choose big data, and it's very right time to start on this track. Be it a technical, be it a non-technical, that's, I believe, just a limitation of your mind. Start learning new things, start building good things, and that's how I will start on these things. So let's move on to a bit of technologies, what we are going to teach. Now we understood what is big data. Now let's go detail into the different technology elements here, which have to be implemented to get this mammoth to work for us, right? Work for our business problem, work for our given project, work for our given solutions to be embedded into, our day-to-day life, right? So big data. So like, as I've already explained, we need to have volume, velocity, variety, and various, different challenges which came to us when you started working with something like social media, something like, stock analysis real time, something like artificial intelligence at a real time, and those kind of scenario, or connected devices like IoT. Like, we need to have data push-pull throughout the life, throughout the day, throughout the night, 364 days, 24 hours a week. That's how those guys work. So we need to have a database which is really huge in volume, huge in speed, give and take. Velocity is because it adds an attributes of directional thing. That's why, I mentioned velocity there. And variety, of course, because you just can't have table and rows access all the time. So you have images, you have a camera capturing an images. We are doing an analysis at real time. We are getting something called metadata out of that and push it to a big data database for that intelligent decision making for a given AI or for a given, IoT based device. That's how it works. So then, of course, data storage pricing is the big concern for all the businesses. With big data, those data, pricing can be reduced to 1/100th of the, older DB which we were accessing today as well, for that matters. So yeah, we are really improved the overall economical, ROI when you move to big data. So that also helps a lot. Then performance, of course, performance have been really improved. Really means, firstly, there was something like, 20K data push and pull for a given DB. Now we are talking about petabytes of data pushed and pulled within minutes. And that's how the performance have increased. Then analytics, yes. As you know, analytics is a great evolved platform. It's still evolving. And we have tools where we support the real-time, on-the-spot analysis given to something like driverless car, so that it can really drive through a packed traffic road. And yeah, we are still, learning, we are still evolving all those analytical tools and data push-pull methodologies. But yeah, we are there. Now we can see driverless car in quite a few regions which have started working, right? Now there are, couple of others, technological challenges which big data solves. Like, we have centralized as well as distributed database. We can have a good life cycle which can be pushed through within nanoseconds. Then we have structured data, rational data. Big data supports all these data formats, even including unstructured data like text, media logs, pictures, words, and so on and so forth. And of course, big data is an open system. So almost within 36 odd tools available today, I believe around 24 to 26 are open systems. So you can start using it without paying anything, right? So those kind of scenarios. So all R&Ds, the research and development for the big data, are basically open system tools. So all the big, scientists, all the big, big technological firms, be it NASA, be it Google, they are using big data internally. And of course, Google have built the big data, so they have all the, tools at their disposal to use whenever they need. So those kind of scenarios. So that's how you can understand the volume and the mammoth size of big data, frankly speaking. And I'll move ahead. Now this is where we are basically trying to tell you about the week wise track. So first week we are starting from the basic older databases, what is database, what is volume, and so on and so forth. And then in this week there were different business problem definitions, HDFS basics, that is the file system which you use for big data, then how to acquire data, how to buffer the data, how to do volume analysis, and all these tools we are going to understand in the first week. So this is how the overall first week is planned. And see, there is no concrete point saying ki, let's say implementation of big data can't be going second week. There are chances, there are flexibility we have attached to this training, so that the main motto here to make the participant learn, gain knowledge, and try to be able to work on big data as per their needs. That's the whole motto of this training. So there is a flexibility inbuilt in this. I'll move ahead. So for a data scientist, how big data works. So there are quite a few other statistical packages also, like big data supports Python. R is the basic platform we use for big data, but there are other platforms which basically can be clubbed together with connectors from big data. And this is how overall the gamut of technology or the overall platform tool set supports will be taught within the first week. So we are trying to gauge the whole mammoth size, volume, and understand what that mammoth is built of. That's the first week all about, and we'll start implementing or understanding the advantages and disadvantages of tools as well. So that if you try to build a solution, which is better, which is not, what are the advantages, what are the not, disadvantages for a given tool set. That's also will go through the first week, right? And then we have a deep statistical, mathematical, and computer science knowledge can be built out of big data, because there are lots of companies like NASA, even Caltech, they use big data for their R&Ds, so that whatever results they are trying to pull out from the computer system can be made available within minutes rather than within days, like it is to done earlier. So they have really helped themselves with this technology platform. Then I move to big data. In big data 2, big data week 2, we are trying to understand the tool sets available. What is BigQuery? What is big data? How the Java can be integrated? What are the different components of data integrations? How the metadata is created on fly? How that can be really modulated for a given particular requirement, particular business requirement. What are the context variables, the talent, the installations, and other things in the overall tools, their installations, their administration, and how we can get those tools enabled on this big data platforms. That's going to covered in week 2. Well, I'll start with a few words for a really popular tool sets here. So we are trying to learn Google BigQuery. This is a widely used platform designed by Google by itself, as the name suggests. It has own BI engines, the business analyst engine. It has own query for building ML patterns, ML libraries, so that it helps the AI overall for robotics, for even YouTube and those well-known business solutions available for every users. And then we move to Hadoop. Hadoop is the basic storage and distribution model built for big data. So we're going to try to understand Hadoop, the environment, how the HDFS supports operations, and we'll start MapReduce also in this week. Week 3, we are going to dive deep into overall best used tools, best business architecture, based business solutions available on the on the net, on the IT market globally. So we try to understand the implementation and the usage part of big data in week 3. Then we're going to understand how the analyst is using big data with tools like MapReduce, how the overall GPS data is used by various map designer technologies, map designer methods, and so on and so forth. So then with week fourth, we'll really build solutions on MapReduce so that you can understand how the overall, architecture or the tools which we have learned can be used in real life scenario. This can be a simple business problem which you facing, and we can derive a solution for that. Or we can take a older example like driverless cars for that matter, and try to build a solution out of big data. I'm really open for live projects, which type of live projects which we use, we should start designing and defining and understanding, that we'll learn in week 4 with a given based known technology, frankly speaking. And yeah, Hadoop is the most used. Then yeah, okay, I have forgot to remove this. And MapReduce, yes, I talked about MapReduce. I talked about Hadoop. There are quite a few different modes which Hadoop can be used. I mentioned there. Then yes, we will learn Pig. Pig is one of the, I think, most popular tools which used with big data, because it's most of SQL like language SQL like database queries which can be fired via Pig through big data platforms. Then Hive, yes, Hive also a kind of big abstraction layers which you use with Hadoop. Then we have Scoop, Hive, Big, then Apache Spark as well, right? So these are all popular tool sets and which we are trying to use for our needs. So we need to learn which tools fits where, so that the architecture suggestions or the solution suggestions can be leveraged up to a great level, so that whenever you give the interview or whenever you discuss with somebody, you know what is meant by big data, what you mean by when to use Spark, when not to use Spark, when to use Hive, where the Pig is really not effective, where it's really effective. So you can tell or guide throughout the interview, throughout the solution giving, throughout your life, frankly speaking, so that you can understand the big data solution in depth and suggest any particular tool sets to the given audience for your benefits. Then yes, Uzi is really maturing now, and yeah, 6 weeks. Week 5 is basically trying to design which type of technology or track you to choose, and week 6 will have live projects concern or align with those similar tracks you've chosen. Be it a data scientist, be it a data analyst, be it a architect, big data architect, big data solution maker, and so on and so forth. So week 6, I'm quite flexible in terms of what to teach, what to learn, and how to basically take this big data to a good maturity level. And yes, there are quite a variety of architectures can be learn. Architecture streams can be learned from big data, and we need to really understand the whole all 36 different platform or technologies which can support this mammoth, which can let us build this mammoth to use for our day-to-day life or be used for a given business solution or problem. I'll take the questions now. I'm through with my presentation. Please.
Hello, Ravindra.
Yes, please go ahead.
This is Aditi Mehra here.
Hi, Aditi. Tell me.
I have a question.
Please.
How a business analyst can be benefited from big data?
Great. See, as I have talked about a simple thing like YouTube using big data for pulling out a given static videos posted there for a user. Let's say a user goes to a YouTube and try to search for driverless cars. Now, driverless cars are just 2 words, right? So, how to get videos for these driverless cars is really means if you dump a video to, let's say, Oracle, saying, okay, there are driverless car from Google, a driverless car from Elon Musk or NASA, or there are quite a few big companies who are working on driverless car. So to build an intelligent or to build a business relevance query is what analyst does, right? So there are around 6-7 good tools available in big data platform where an analyst can be beneficial. Okay, like I talked about BigQuery, like I talked about MapReduce. Let's talk about BigQuery. BigQuery is basically an analytic engine built by Google to make sense of these big data storages what we have stored globally. You heard of torrent by any way? torrent movie downloads and all those things. Have you heard
Yeah,
of torrent?
yeah.
Okay, torrent works on BigQuery. So in torrent, if I start downloading whatever latest movie you want to download, the movie comes to your computer from 100 different computers in the world, on the earth. And these queries are built by basically BigQuery. BigQuery knows if the part of movie is available on Ravindra's computer, part of movie is available on Prakash computers, or those kind of different computer, different nodes. The BigQuery know how to pull it, and this analysis is inbuilt in BigQuery up to a great extent, but the business analysts have to tune it to a business problem. So that connection of business problem and technology is what the BigQuery is all about. And that's how that analyst is going to work on such a vast field, not just a simple one database and few tables and few business problem. So we are talking about really good volume here. So analysts can do a lot of magical things, believe me, as far as big data goes. Okay, does that answer your questions?
Yeah. Thank you, Ravindra.
Thanks a lot. Any other question?
Yeah.
Ravindra?
Yes, please go ahead. But please state your name so that I can refer you.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Ravindra. This is Swati, and I want to ask you that how is big data different from other programming languages?
Swati, it's a really good question, but this is like Ram ki Sita kaun hai, but theek hai, I'll try to tell you. Big data is really big, frankly speaking, as the name suggests, right? So we are talking about big volume, big variety, and big velocity, big performance database. And this is not just your day-to-day database like Oracle, like MS SQL or MySQL, where you have a database sitting on a mass storage volume, be it in gigabytes or so. So we had a limitation of gigabytes per DB before. Now we meet to petabytes of data trying to push or serve within a minutes, right? Be it something like YouTube, be it something like driverless car, or be it something like, if you heard of that dog robot, where you need to have 1.5 petabyte data to be served to a client within 32 odd seconds. Means if you there's a good abstract ready on Boston Dynamics. This come from Boston Dynamics, which is possessed by Google nowadays, I believe. So this that military dog they built, a robot which basically needs a petabyte of data within 32 seconds, and that has you can't do this with any supercomputer. You need to have a bigger or better database serving engine, right? That's what the big data supports. Could you understand the volume and size of the data we are supporting for a given thing? Then you can understand the solution we are trying to give through a big data platform. It's not just a single technology. It's a gamut of around 36 odd mature technology to be able to do these things on a real time. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Swati. Thanks a lot.
Ravindra,
Hi.
here.
Hi, Ravi. Please go ahead.
I'm not here. I just wanted to know what are the technology platforms.
Big data is a platform. I'll say overall there are around various technology tracks available. Technology, I mean, you can have something like Java, Python. There are various other technology platforms where we can derive big data solutions. And there are sorry. Hello. Hello.
Can you mute yourself if you're not talking?
Pardon me for the disturbance. So we are talking about 36 all matured technology platform within big data. So big data, you can say an idea, or big data, you can say a platform, where we're trying to support a given system or a solution with a huge, humongous throughput of data, which is a need for something like AI, something like robots, something like driverless car, and so on and so forth. So these type of solutions which we are trying to support. So big data is basically started from a given business problem where we need to have very high throughput of data to be supported for a given solution. So that's how that big data overall, building this thing. So rather than a technology or platform, I'll try to call it a solution, because there are lots of, evolving technologies included for a given big data solution. So, it's a kind of gamut of technology which you build or which you connect to each other to give a solution. Because the need is really complex, the need is really critical for a given, scenarios. So that's how that big data is devised. Hope I answer your question.
Hey, this is Praveen.
Hi,
And
Praveen.
first of all, hi, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you, Ravindra, because very few people do this in the world from a Seva Bhav and what you're doing. First of all, I want to thank you that and the purpose that was explained initially in the call. I liked it the way you did it.
Thanks,
First of all,
Praveen.
thanks. And my question is, uh, I have been, I've started my career as a developer. I've worked on ETL technologies and pretty good at SQL. But big data is something I am at a starting point. Like I've never worked on big data before. Okay.
Right.
Will learning this program help me clear, let's say, my target is CCA 175 certification. Will it help me? That's my question. It's a
I really
Cloudera.
wouldn't. If you could tell me what about, more about your target, right? Because I couldn't really relate that target. I might be, misleading you if I'm saying,
Correct.
please go ahead.
Okay. Sure. I started my program as a programmer, ETL programmer. I've written millions of lines of code, no issues. Okay. But on traditional database environment like Oracle, Netezza, stored procedures, I have written all of it, but in traditional environment, I have never written or have any knowledge about big data. Okay. So first of all, I want to get into that. That is my purpose. But I also want to clear the Cloudera certification. It is on a CCA 175. It is the Cloudera developer certification. So will by doing this course, will it help us do that?
Yes.
That's my question.
Yes. That will help because, big data is normally implemented via cloud. So whatever you do, because you're talking about petabytes of data which you can't store in a given single computers, or well, there are mass storage available, but that's not advisable because the efficiency really kills the whole purpose. So we normally have, let's say, 100 of different computers or 100 of different instance of computer where we can push the data and pull the data effectively, efficiently as per the business need. Okay, so basic intention is to utilize the cloud to a given maximum throughput way. That's the motto, what the overall technology platform or technology solutions built on. So unless you understand that, big data, you really can't understand the architecture or the infrastructure support which is needed for big data. So this is the basic, I think the basic bricks where this whole solution is laid on. So yes, it will help overall. But I believe, CC 175 is more of, I think, more of planning, more of, I'll not say analyst, more of, it's not throughput as well. I'm really, falling short of word right now. But yes, I believe it will help. But I think CC 175, it's just a one track, I'll say, of these solutions to be, limited to. That's kind of scenario. Yeah, it will help overall. But when you talk about big data, it's much more, umbrella technology rather than talking about just the cloud or just the, pipes which we use. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, Ravindra, I'll just add more to that, to Pravinji. So Pravinji, one liner answer is nobody learns everything from mother's womb. One starts from somewhere, right? Whether it's a crawling or walking or running or bicycling, driving, or even any other things. So the pre-ingredients is, that fire in the belly. Do you have the hunger or desire to learn something new? And again, it's a simple common sense analogy, which you have been in the IT industry, you're a lateral person, you have seen or you're seeing where the world is going in terms of technology toolkit, right? So back in the days, during my time, in 70s, well, I would say late 80s or 90s, the world was often MRPs, and then we saw there was an emergence from MRPs to the ERPs, and from ERPs to CRMs, and you know that's how this evolved. And many of us have transitioned ourselves to that. Being a technologist, you know, we have every 6 months, 12 months, there is a new version in, and we go through the iteration, right? So to answer your question, you have the answer in your question, meaning, you know, it's a big growth market area, and that's the future. Now, coming back to what certification or what track, there are dime a dozen, to be honest with you, CC 170. I mean, I can keep going on. There are about 7 different certifications which you may would like to do, which aligns into big data. Now, what we do, as I said, we have focus practices, and we have people who are, depending upon what their focus is, they kind of align themselves for different certification tracks, right? From Cloudera or from any third party also. It's there. So we collate in terms of the cohesive synergy, right? So we collate the efforts, right? So we try to have a central repository to as many questions as we can. It's like back in the old days in our schools and colleges of engineering, right? What we do, we look at the last 3 years or 5 years, what questions were asked, and we try to brush up on them, right? And then we question ourselves, okay, you know, this portion never was asked. Is that worth my time to revise it, right? I mean, most of us have done it, including myself. So that's what you do. You have that question and answers database repository, and you retool yourself, you teeth in yourself, that helps you towards getting that sufficient number of percentile to clear the exam, right? So we have that repository, but again, as I said, that's a moot point having it unless you digest it, unless you work on it. It would mean nothing. Right. So that's what I would like to add. So yes, you could do it, and it's a gradual. In your case, it's a gradual progression. You are much ahead than majority or some of the people who have, who don't have no idea about basic programming, SQL and databases.
Thank you for the, and first of all, thank you too also for doing this for a lot of people with the purpose that you have. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes, next question, please.
Hi, Neha this side. I just wanted to know, can you please enlighten me on the line that is big data really the future?
Okay. It's, more of marriageal questions or diplomatic questions, but I'll take it. Yeah. See, if you look at the need, right? Means I talked about in the start of this thing. Something like, let's talk about YouTube as a solution. When YouTube started, they've started with MySQL as a database. So they used to push movies or a small documentaries, to be precise, to DB and generate a table called metadata. They used to have the name metadata 1, metadata 5, and so on and so forth. So there they used to write down, okay, this is the documentary on how to grow mangoes in America. There's a documentary on how to be drive safe. So, pardon me. Hello.
If you're not speaking, can you please mute
No,
yourself?
I muted the person. I muted the person. Okay.
Sorry. Okay. So see, what we're trying to do, we're trying to build a solution with a old technology for a new latest business problem. YouTube was not efficient at that level. But now, if you look, the normal query, if you search for how to, drive better on American roads, you'll get the queries served to you within milliseconds, if not nanoseconds, right? So you'll have around, 60 or different videos where the YouTube server knows this person is asked for these things, and these are the videos available. The first one is best suited, second best suited, and the priority or scenarios also aligned to your query, right? This support is what the big data have been designed for or evolved for. So the technology platform which we are trying to learn is basically intended for a latest given available tool set for a given clubbed business problems, right? If you go to something like Boston Dynamics, I talked about this solution as well. Boston Dynamics have a robot like dog. They call it dog robot, where that robot can carry up to 1.5 tons. It's a small robot of a size of 6 foot height, 4 foot width, and so on and so forth. And they can carry a load of around 1.5 ton. I think as of last 15 days, when I've seen that video and tried to understand the big data model behind it. That dog, when it starts to walk, when it starts to climb the stairs, the data which the robot needs from the server is how I worked last time on the stairs, if at all, or how I address the stairs of a 4-inch steps and carry this load, at what angle I need to bend, at what angle I need to build a reflex or rebounds for a given 4 feet to support this 1.5 ton carrying load capacity transfer, is all embedded in the data, is all embedded in the big data, which has to be served to this intelligent processor on a dock to let him make the decisions within nanoseconds. So that's how the whole data throughput which we are talking about as of today's, and it's a need, right? So given the scenarios, given the need of technology, given the need of various platforms like artificial intelligence, robotics, and IOTA, we can do these things. So that's how we can have something like driverless car, driverless plane, or human driverless planes or drones, which basically can move as per the needs or as per the the flick of a joystick, where these machines taking their decisions on fly, and 80% of it is inbuilt in them, and 20% is guided by the intelligent data coming from a server or servers rather. So this is what the length and breadth of the whole technology, and it's a kind of what I'll say, a need of the hour or need of the solution which are being built as of today. So you can understand, right, what the other database can and can't do, and how big data supports the whole evolution. So that's what I'll say. This is the evolved platform. This is still evolving. The 3036 all technology available today, be it something like IU, MyPredis, Reduce, HDFS, these are also evolving. If you know, they release their library in each 6 months. So we have new versions, new validation models, new machine learning libraries which are embedded in big data to help the AI really enrich or make the decision faster, make the decision better, and so on and so forth. So that's how the platform is, or platform is a need of the today, or need of the solution tomorrow. That's what I try to say, if I really try to extrapolate the whole need base or business needs as of today. Does that answer your question?
Oh, that's amazing. You really explained it to me so well. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
And I really liked your presentation too. Looking forward to it.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, hello Ravindra. Hello Ravindra.
Yeah, please go ahead.
This is Daksh Modi. So basically I carry experience of 6 years in Unix support. So switching from Unix to big data, so carrying almost 6 years of experience in IT. So after, if I join your big data course, and after finishing, so will I get a job as a fresher, or 6+ years of experience as a ready reference resume for big data?
Yes, that's really good question. Let me tell you, what we are doing at strategy consulting, we try to build a knowledge person where you can utilize your older experience as well. And being a Unix guy, you know the operating system very well. So you can be a really good architect, you can be a really good scientist, and you can be a really good administrator as well. So you have all these 3-4 tracks available for you after learning this big data. And believe me, to answer your question, your previous experience does enrich your learning. You can really choose what are the different platforms or different technology available within big data gamut of technology, so that you can really concentrate on solving particular business problem, be it something like the best OS supported for a given client, right? Because nowadays the matter of let's say, be it IOTA, be it something like robotics, you need to really have an embedded OS, a smaller part of which are basically Unix or Linux flavored OS, right? You have very small OS where you support all those query decision making nodes, all those query decision making data push pull require, and necessities, and you can build a really good solutions on these already learned or experienced, methodologies which you have in you, which you have, gained the knowledge via your experience. So it will really enrich your whole, what I can say, learning to a great level, where you can be a good solution architect, be a good big data architect, because big data architect is a, really critical thing, because all these are mission critical, kind of systems or solutions which we support, where we don't have option of failure, or even network glitch and so on and so forth. So these are really, good times to move on, new technology, being this given job market, being this, crucial unemployment figures and so on and so forth. So I would really say you will be definitely benefited, and you are really, I think, one of the good candidates to start on, big data, because certain, OS fundamentals, certain, or you work on a platform where you know how and why it is chosen, right? Why it is to be implemented, and now you can move to a, layer above that platform, because OS big data works on various different, OS. It supports open system, it supports Unix, it supports basically, quite a few other embedded, OS as well. The smaller, OS like Raspberry Pi, bit, Arvindo, and so on and so forth. So this is really a good platform where to move for. I see really a gradual evolution of overall, knowledge or overall experience for yourself. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you, Ravindra. Thank you for
Thanks, Daksh.
clearing
Thanks
my
a lot.
doubts.
Yeah, bye.
Hi Ravindra, this is Kumar.
Hi. Hi,
For
Kumar.
big
Tell me.
data, yeah. For big data, do I need to hire a data scientist?
No, okay. Data science is a given track where you really, build R&D models, build some, good libraries to support your, research and R&D, frankly speaking. So, data science is basically to build a scientific model out of given data. So data scientists can work with something like MySQL, something like Oracle, and they can work with big data where you have a humongous amount of data available at your need. So the decision which you take is really efficient, or really, what you can say, more relevance to a real factor or real probabilities available to you. If you really heard me in talking about the massive dynamics dog robot case, business case here, you could clearly understand what type of decision nodes we are talking about, what type of scientific libraries or the patterns to be matched for a given decision, for a AI enabled IOTA system, or AI enabled robot for that matter. So these are the work of data scientists, and it's a given track. You need to decide where you want to be, or where you want to be a part of whole gamut of technology available, right? That's your liking, your preferences. So if you want to be a data scientist, it's one of the track. If you want to be a big data architect, there's another track, and so on and so forth. So there are lots of choices available. So to answer your question in the least possible words, yes, data scientists are using big data from last 3-4 years, and they are really way ahead when they were using simple or singular DB technology at that time. So now big data can enable to all new level altogether to support your research and development as a data scientist. Does that answer your question, Kumar?
Yeah, Praveen. Thank you.
Thanks, Kumar. Thanks a lot. Any other question?
Hello, Ravindra.
Hi.
This is Som Sethi, and my question is, how will big data help for any company or organization?
I really couldn't get your question. Could you please repeat that?
How will the big data help for the company?
The company, okay, good.
Yeah, or any organization. Yeah.
Yes, right. See, this is a natural progression of technology, I'll say. Be it a singular database like Oracle, MySQL, and so on and so forth. And there are other, distributed data systems also available. But big data is quite matured in itself for a, given platform. And it's really the best evolved technology platform for a high throughput data or high validated data transfers. So that's how big data is capturing the whole market. If you look at the market capture size, big data is capturing almost about 75% of the whole database market. Be it something like Yahoo, Google, IBM. These guys use big data for their internal data churning mechanism. These Amazon is the most efficient big data model to be studied. Means within I think in week 5 we have that data model as in study how they've built the model, how they've evolved, and so on and so forth. So it's really need of the hour, I'll say. Means if the company or organization is not moving to big data, then they are not doing it right as far as the IT solution goes. Because the throughput required nowadays for a typical business decisions, only big data can support, as far as I think, because there are lots of nodes, lots of decision making capabilities can be evolved with a given database or with a history of work what we have done in past, and we can really benefit it from them. That's how big data is evolving, and big data is really evolving in leaps and bounds. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Ravindra. Thank you so much.
And thanks a lot. Any other question?
Yeah, one question, please.
Please.
I apologize for joining a little late, so I do not know if this has been already addressed.
No
but
problem.
I have RDBMS experience and I'm DBA by trade. So how much transition from a regular good old RDBMS to big data difficult and conceptually is?
No. Basically, I think you are the one of the most right candidate. It's a natural progression, I'll say, from RDBMS to big data. Big data is RDBMS, to be frankly speaking. Only it's a distributed, database model. So we need to have, a couple of tools clubbed together to access the data for a required throughput, for the required validations, verification services. So that's your normal progressions or evolution, I'll say, because everybody is moving from typical RDBMS, be it Oracle, be it MySQL, be it MS SQL, to a big data, where we need a very high throughput, which is already validated, which is already verified for a given business solutions. So that's a natural progression. So I think you're the best candidate or best participant. I must address, to frankly speaking.
Thank you. That clarifies. I kind of got confused because did not have any idea about big data, whatever. Some people say XML database, some people say text, and they say Hadoop, and so many terms are just coined here and there, and I have
all
no
the three
clue.
things. All the three things you said is a part of big data. Hadoop is a pack of big data. XML database we use TextDB as well.
No, that's right. That's
sorry.
exactly where I was also coming from. That's exactly where I was also coming from. That I coming from an RDBMS background, but have no knowledge about data.
That's good. So it's a natural progression. It's really, you're the best candidate for me because you know the older DB. So, you can skip first two sessions. But yeah, I would really love to have there because, you can share your experience with other participants as well. So that's a natural progression. Any other questions, please?
Any specific RDBMS or just RDBMS in general?
No, RDBMS in general.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Because, be it MySQL, be it MS SQL, be it Oracle, these are all database basically targeted for a given cluster. In big data, we normally start with around 10 to 15 clusters altogether, where we have a distributed DB, and then we build a HDFS on that, so that how to access all these DBs with a given throughput required for the business solution. That's how we start. So that's the best where we start. Any other question, please?
I have a question. This is Ravi Narayan, and
yeah, please go.
For the big data or Hadoop and all these technologies, do you need a cloud computing like cloud computing or Azure kind of thing or AWS, or you can do it on a local PC or a laptop?
What I would really suggest, you can do it in a local PC or laptop, but I would really suggest to do it on a, we're going to build a cloud for ourselves, be it something like AWS or be it something like any private cloud for that matter. We'll have a private cloud at our disposal. So you will need an internet connection and a laptop or whatever desktop you want to use. So cloud is, I believe, a necessity because we are talking about 90% of distributed DBs, right? So all the database are distributed so that we don't have a kind of mission critical data stored in just one PC or one node. And if that fails, anyhow, God forbid, then you are at lost. Ki boss, mera data kidhar gaya? So those kind of scenario we try to avoid. So normally the big data concept is built on distributed computing and cloud. I would suggest the use of cloud, but there are lots of tools which can run on single PC, single node, single laptop. So you can utilize those tools or you can practice on those tools at your home as well. But I believe whenever you're going to work on a complete project with all those, volume and length and breadth, you will need to have a cloud at your disposal. You need to, whenever you say you need to use the full big data blast, you need to be in cloud. I think that's a ground statement I want to end my answer on. Does that answer your question?
Yes, okay. Okay.
So,
I will also self-answer, Ravi, just to give, I'll also self-answer. There was a good question asked in one of our previous introductory track a few days ago, where we had about 85 people in attendance for Selenium QA, and I think BA Scrum, we had 70 some. And the question was as follows. Some of the attendees asked this question, and today we are a little low number, but that's okay. Those were a little easier tracks, QA Selenium or BA QA Scrum. And the question was as follows, because one of my opening statement, if you were there, I'd mentioned we had over 700, it's an overwhelming, to be honest with you. And the question was, why are we doing this, right? Why are we doing this free? And my simple question was, I've been here for past 2 decades, and I at least know or have met personally 15,000 primarily Indian Americans through various social and cultural events or during my work employment. And it has become very easy to remain in touch using WhatsApp or LinkedIn or having a contact. Many of these people have been or were working for bigger organizations for 10, 15, 20 some years. What has happened to them in the previous quarter during the layoffs? Many of these people started losing their job. Then we formed groups, to be honest with you, for job placement, because we are vendors for many companies. And it was my assumption, which was, how foolish on me. I assumed if I were to get them a couple of interviews, they'll get a job. And these people are, many of them were PMO candidate or analyst or business systems analyst, or the whole 9 yards, the entire gamut. What the realization we have had, and our recruitment and sales team gave us that realization, that many of these people have a half-page or a one-page resume. Meaning they have just listed name, email, phone, education, summary, and then employment working for operation 26 years, director or architect, and that's it. And without a properly written resume or that ill-written resume, will not get them a job. So then we put some focus in talking to them. And the other thing was it became a taboo for many of them because it just shook them and hit them because they thought they were indispensable. And then the corporate America gave them a rude awakening, which did personally hit them. And many of them single earners, it took a toll on their financials. So then the next phase we did was, resume writing is an art. So they know everything, but they have not articulated in their 3-page or a 4-page resume. They have a half-page resume. And their argument was 30 years or 20 years or 15 years I've been working, get me an interview and I'll crack it. And I have no doubts in my mind that they'll crack it. The problem was I cannot get them an interview without getting a 3 or a 4-page resume, which entails the buzzwords, Control F, right? Which is what today's world, the recruitment and the HR does. Then the other segment of people, they become so functional over 5, 10, 20 years that they lost total track of the technology. And in spite of us getting an opportunity for them, many of them have no idea what this requirement is or what those tools were. So we went back in the drawing room, myself and Ravi, because they're all near and dear friends. And many of us are in so many WhatsApp groups, and you will agree, these groups are anywhere from 50 to a couple of hundred members. And every group, we have 5, 10, 15, 20% people getting unemployed, getting job displaced. And because many of them know us or me, they are talking to us in private and telling them, don't tell it to people, because it's a kind of a stigma for me. I never lost a job. This is the first time. So what we decided, myself and Ravi saying, okay, let's start from the basics. And these are all friends, or family friends, or good acquaintances and things like that. So that's where we develop many of these tracks. And I'm very glad many of my friends, they rose up to the occasion and they said, okay, they will do it because it's a pro bono. Nobody makes any money, most of them. For some, we are giving them some money because I don't have expertise for all the skills. So we are, I guess, shelving off some of our funds towards those trainers where we don't have any expertise. And we are going back in the drawing room, and then we have started this 6 weeks, 8 weeks training, which at least will help them articulate them. They can scratch the gray cells, and that enables them in terms of the technology toolkit. And many of them, they have worked in corporate America, and that would be a good refresher course to do so. Now, that's one segment of people. And the other segment of people, those, there's have a gap, especially many of the ladies for family reasons or for motherhood, and they have worked on some technical track, and it's been 2-3 years, and technology changes, and those ladies, we are also providing an opportunity because being a man, I exist because of a woman, and it's our art of giving a woman empowerment, and we walk the talk in terms of creating an employment for them here as well as back in India. So all these things led to this, and then we went through the groups and we started posting. We initially thought we will get few hundred people, 200, 300. We said, okay, we'll place 300 people. Hopefully we'll train them, and then Infosys, Wipro, TCS, COG, and many companies, they need people in dime a dozen. So we'll start with a couple of hundred and maybe 200, 300, and we'll put a stop. Now the challenge has been, in a mere span of 6 weeks, we already have more than 723 odd, maybe more, because I have not checked last 2 days data, and that will keep increasing. It's a good problem to have, wherein we're really walking that extra mile, and that's where you'll see sometimes Ravi will go crazy because that poor guy has to work 18 hours at times as a super admin for some of the sessions, or sometimes I have to do it. But it's a very priceless thing when you see some of our fellow friends or acquaintances, and when we are able to get them a job, and one person sent me a Ferrero Rocher's candy box because he knows I have 11-year-old at home, and with a personalized note, and that made my day, right? He found a job by himself, got a confidence, sent me a note saying, Dave, you rock, right? And my daughter thinks, what's happening? Daddy, what happened? Where does the Ferrero Rocher come in? He doesn't even eat. And of course, she ate most of them. So these are something which are something we cherish those moments for life. And I thank you all for today for joining in. But I just wanted to share that experience because this is huge. I've never done 600-700 people training in a mere span of 3 months, which is what we are trying to do, and we are trying to accommodate as many people as we can. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dev. Any other questions for me?
No.
Okay. We will take them as no, and it's late.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah. Ravi, any parting comments from your side?
No, it was a great session, and like as you said, we went back and we had some focus groups from the WhatsApp groups, and we went back and thought about it, and we had to come out with these technologies. And still, I'm getting more feedbacks. Like, do we have MySQL? Do we have ITIL? Do we have COBIT? Do we have other like concepts? And I'm kind of overflooded where we can find these instructors also actually.
I can take MySQL, no problem.
Yeah, okay. You have COBIT?
No, COVID is a bit tricky.
Yeah, COBIT, ITIL, COBIT. Yeah, I'm
ITL I
getting all
can
this.
teach. ITL I can teach. I can teach PMI also.
Yeah, ITIL,
PMI
so
or
let us take it offline, okay? I don't want to take it first time. Yeah,
no
okay,
problem.
but you can talk it, okay? But I'm telling you, I'm just mentioning.
Definitely. I believe you can go through my profile, so you know what our technology I work
Yeah, definitely I'll keep in touch with you.
Sure. And WhatsApp uses big data internally.
Yeah.
If you know the workings of
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. And that's what I'm getting more feedback. Even MySQL, they want a separate class for 3 weeks to 5 weeks.
MySQL will be 3 weeks is quite a long time because see, it's a singular technology now. And they're also trying to winding up overall because I think MySQL will be part of IBM or Google. I don't know how they're trying to merge, and then it will come to I think as an element to big data. Means they are trying for some I think mathematical based data crunching type of technology. But that's a different thing. Sorry.
You can combine with LAMP kind of a thing.
Exactly, yeah. LAMP is the best thing. LAMP I can teach. I have taught LAMP.
Yeah, no, or you can combine it with LAMP actually. So that's what.
LAMP is good.
Yeah, LAMP with MySQL you can combine actually. Okay.
Yeah, MySQL
so
is
we can think about it offline. So I'm getting questions, feedback personally actually. In addition to training at stratyges.com, I'm getting personal emails.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, I'm just saying, any notes? Do we have any other questions? I think we answered most of the questions. Ravi, thank you so much. I guess it was an excellent question. A lot of good questions came in. So I thank you for your time. Both the Ravis, Ravindra as well as Ravi Narayan. And any of you who have any further questions, any of you who wants to see the copy of this, if you have registered yourself, you will be, we'll just edit it properly. If there are any nuances, we'll just eliminate them and we'll send it to you. You will also see a copy of this presentation on our website, www.stratyges.com, or you could send an email. The email is listed there, training@stratyges.com. Stratyges spelled as STRATYGES.com. So thank you for joining in. I thank all of you for investing your time. If you're on the East Coast, it's kind of a little late, and I look forward to seeing you, many of you, as and when you plan on our training tracks. Training tracks, the real nitty-gritty information, once you send an email to them, the HR will follow up. I think big data is starting, I think second week of August, if I'm not wrong. And it will be 3+1, 4 days in a week. Those sessions will be, but the timelines and everything will be communicated to you. And I thank you all for joining in. Good night.
Dave, thank you very much. This is Dinesh. Thank you for the good work.
Yep. Thank you, Dinesh.
Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thanks for Jai Shri Ram. Bye.